guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Claire. Hi， 今天我们要一起来做一回托福真实考题的听力。那这个影片适合两种人，第一种人是你还没有做过模考或真实考试，但是想要先了解一下托福的听力题型怎么考；第二种人是你已经考过模考甚至真实的考试，但是还是会写错或不知道抄笔记的时候要怎么抄才好。那我自己的托福分数是在满分120分里面考了117分，其中托福的听力是满分30分，所以呢我会同步现场示范我在听的时候会做哪些笔记，让我们直接进入影片正题。
Listen to part of a discussion in a history of science class. The class is discussing the heliocentric theory.
What I find really difficult to understand is why the heliocentric theory, why it wasn't, believed by everybody right away.
Well, one thing that's hard to do is to sort of see things from the perspective of someone who's hearing that theory for the first time. I mean, today we tend to assume that the moment the heliocentric theory was laid out, the idea that the sun, not the Earth, was the center of the solar system, that, you'd have to be in denial not to accept it. But it really wasn't that easy.
But the idea that the Earth wasn't the center of the universe, that had been tossed around for, centuries, right? I mean, lots of people had the idea.
Yes, that's true, going all the way back to the ancient Greeks. But in Europe, when Galileo championed it in the 17th century, due in part to his discoveries using a telescope, there still was some major resistance to it.
But I still don't understand why. I mean, isn't it obvious?
Well, despite Galileo's ingenious arguments in support of the heliocentric theory, there was still a lot of reasons why people of that period couldn't buy into it. Remember, we're talking about 400 years ago, so let's think about a few of those reasons, okay? So, first of all, they could work out that if the Earth was going around the sun, then it had to be traveling at many thousands of kilometers per hour. And that was just beyond anything anyone could understand. They could understand riding a horse or walking. Maybe they could get up to 32 kilometers per hour, but tens of thousands of kilometers per hour? That was just crazy. So, to many people, whatever's going on, it couldn't be that.
So people didn't believe the heliocentric theory because it was so hard to believe?
Exactly. But there were more scientific kinds of reactions as well. 'Cause, look, if you've ever been on a carousel or you're on a ride at an amusement park and you're on something that is going round and round and round, two things, all right? One, you know you're moving, there's no doubt. And the other thing is, you know that unless you hold on tight, you're going to go flying out because of centrifugal force, right?
So, if I understand you, for the average person 400 years ago, there was no evidence that we were moving at high speed, right? Since everything was securely on the ground and no one was flying off into space?
Yes, and in particular, and this was one specific difficulty for people in the period, even if they thought that there was some sort of force that maybe kept you and me and buildings and things on the surface of the Earth, their theory about the nature of the atmosphere was that nothing was holding it down. So, if you can understand that way of thinking, then clearly, if the Earth was moving at a great speed, we should have lost all our atmosphere a long time ago. It would be like trailing away behind us. And so, I want to try a little thought experiment, because I think that what we'll find is that some of us have ideas about motion that actually fit with anti-heliocentrism.
Anti-heliocentrism? No way. This is the 21st century.
Well, then let's see. So, picture the following. You're at the equator, moving at 1,600 kilometers per hour, okay? And you drop something small and light, like a matchstick, for example. Where's it going to land?
That's easy. It'll be long gone. The matchstick is so light, it'll fly right out of my hand and end up way behind me somewhere.
Actually, that matchstick you dropped, it'll land right at your feet.
What?
Well, let's think about it. You forgot to consider that the Earth's rotating at 1,600 kilometers per hour at the equator. And you, me, the air, and that matchstick, we're all moving together at the same speed, even though it doesn't seem or look or feel like we're moving. So, class, clearly, even today, we actually have some inclination to think that if the Earth were moving around at a great speed, we ought to see signs of it. Perhaps now you're less inclined to dismiss those who once found heliocentrism so hard to believe. Okay, let's move on.
What is the professor's main purpose in the discussion? What do the examples of riding a horse and walking represent? What point does the professor make when he discusses a ride at an amusement park? According to the professor, 400 years ago, what was believed to be true about Earth's atmosphere? Why does the professor talk about dropping a matchstick? Listen again to part of the discussion, then answer the question.
So people didn't believe the heliocentric theory because it was so hard to believe?
Exactly. But there were more scientific kinds of reactions as well.
What does the professor mean when he says this?
But there were more scientific kinds of reactions as well.